Welcome back. This is Borahla here. In this video, we are going to talk about what makes a story Gothic. The elements that make a story Gothic are many and varied, but they are fairly consistent. First, you are always going to find the setting as part of the story, a really important part. It acts almost as a character. It's going to be a mansion in decay, an old castle, the deep dark forest. It's going to be very dark and kind of crumbling setting. That's the way in which the setting can act as a character in the story. There are other characters you might want to look for. One, of course, is the villain. There's always got to be a villain in the story, and in Gothic literature, the villain is going to be someone like Dracula or Frankenstein. You are also going to look for a fair young maiden, a fair young lady, someone who's pure and naive and often doesn't really understand what's going on around her. Also, an older woman is really a common character, and she can either be a fool or someone in collaboration with the villain. Religion also enters in, and you will see clergymen in this case, of course, and they are often either evil or just really weak and unable to fight the forces of evil in Gothic literature. The protagonist in Gothic literature, or so-called hero, is often fighting a losing battle against the villain. And that's another element of Gothic literature. Rather than being the victor or the person who comes out on top, as heroes often do in literature, in Gothic literature, you will see the hero struggling against the villain, but he's really struggling against very dark forces, and so it's a difficult battle to win. Let's listen to a passage from that now. The lower part of the castle was hollowed into several intricate cloisters, and it was not easy for one under so much anxiety to find the door that opened into the cavern. An awful silence reigned throughout those subterraneous regions, except now and then some blasts of wind that shook the door as she passed, and which, grating on the rusty hinges, were re-echoed through that long labyrinth of darkness. Every murmur struck her with new terror, yet more she dreaded to hear the wrathful voice of Manfred urging his domestics to pursue her. This is what we mean by Gothic horror. I hope you noticed some elements that are familiar from what we just discussed. I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for listening.